we're ranking the cringe. Now, on the community tab, I asked y'all to give me the cringiest metal bands you could think of, and I picked 20 of those to put to the cringe meter. And quick disclaimer, we're all just having fun here. At the end of the day, we're all at least a little bit cringe. Take it from a guy in his mid-30s wearing a rubber skull mask.
Cringe.
Alright, but let's kick things off on a high note with Trapped. Back off, I'll take you on. Headstrong, I'll take on anyone. The kings of bad lyrics with even worse deliveries. The lords of soft ego Twitter battles. I mean, need I say more? I'm going to put them all the way at pure cringe, which is for bands that I do consider to be so cringe that there is pretty much no redeeming qualities, at least in my opinion. Even as a teenager who listened to a lot of cringe, I just never saw the appeal of these guys. Alright, let's move on to Belphegor, which was interesting to see pop up in the comments quite a bit, and I kind of get it. They definitely have some very, like, edgy boy, try-hard album covers with a lot of nudity and a lot of the satanic imagery. It seems like they're constantly trying to shock people, but just coming off as in Arrested Development. Definitely pulling on a lot of tropes for teens without really truly great albums to back them up. They have that one album that had a more like symphonic flair to it that I kind of enjoyed, and they have songs I enjoy here and there, but I just don't think that they're that great. But on this list though, I don't think that they're that cringe. Like, I do think that they're cringe, but I'm gonna put them at the bottom because y'all, you will not believe some of the other bands that are going to be on here. Speaking of which, let's go to Hell Yeah, and already just in name. Like, the name is as cringe as it gets. There was a reason why they made my list of worst metal band names of all time. And then you've got plenty of bad lyrics too, like, I made a deal with the devil, now the devil's in my blood, I'm the bullet, he's the gun, now the target's on your back and here I come. Yeah, just super duper corny. The music video for Hush is also super overdramatic. You didn't wanna know. You didn't wanna know. Yeah, I'm putting them at very cringe. It gets worse than that, but it's pretty high up there. Now, an interesting one, Limp Bizkit, which I agree had to be on here and was highly requested, and it should be obvious. Another band that from the look to the lyrics is just the full package, and in a pretty similar way to Five Finger Death Punch, which we're going to talk about. However, I'd argue that they are better at delivering that package in a way that is fun, and at least on some level self-aware, and I can't lie, y'all, I still have a blast listening to songs like Break Stuff and all of that. So I'm going to put them at cringe but fun, because I really enjoy them, but I can definitely recognize just how cringe they can get. Alright, 6 Feet Under time. So between these subpar music, bad vocals, and Chris Barnes constantly putting his foot in his mouth, there's no denying the cringe with 6 Feet Under. However, when it came down to it, I still think that they have nothing on, again, some of the other bands we're going to get into here. So I'm going to put them at mid-cringe. But speaking about the heights of where we're going to go here, we got to talk about Kid Rock. So I'm kind of cheating a little bit, but Kid has dabbled in the world of nu metal, and I can think of no better multi-decade ambassador of cringe than the cowboy himself. Even his best songs, which I do enjoy, especially that one like breakout album, are just crammed with adolescent mindset, and his modern output and persona is that of the ultimate huckster troll. Like, the latest album may be the worst offender of all, with hits like We the People and, of course, You Snowflakes, here's a news flash. Ain't nobody gonna tell me how to live. Yeah, Kid Rock's going right to the top. Pure cringe. Alright, an interesting later addition, but one that made sense the more I thought about it. We do have Metallica, and I'm sorry that the logo ended up being like see-through. You can see it there, but once I bring it over here, it's just a black blob. But anyways, we're specifically talking about like post-Black Album era for the most part. Like, in that era, there are some real gems in terms of the lyrics, such as My lifestyle determines my death style, I'm madly in anger with you, and You arrived, but now it's time to kiss your ass goodbye. And that last one, admittedly, is kind of fun to sing along to, but yeah, it's cringe, y'all. Like, come on. There's a science to this, as I've said. Now, again, far from the worst. I'd say on the scheme of this list, it's pretty mild, so it's going to the bottom.
That's all I needed for him to do that, and it became personal with me.
Slaughter to Prevail was probably the most requested deathcore band on this list, resoundingly from the audience, and I get it. The mask the persona, the kind of like edginess and tough guy energy, and the lyrics can be pretty bad too, but I can't harp on that too much when English is their second language. And it's another band too where I'd argue that even though they are cringe, they're also pretty fun. I didn't enjoy the album that much, but they dropped some banger singles. Like, I still really enjoy Baba Yaga. Fun stuff. So cringe, but fun. All right, a potentially controversial pick here, because we did get some arguments on the Discord, but we're talking about Slipknot.
I am shocked. Shocked! Well, not that shocked.
I have a feeling this is going to cause a divide, but you gotta step back from your enjoyment of it. They're a band I enjoy as well, especially Slipknot and Iowa. But you've got to think of such poetic lyrics as, I'm gonna slit your throat and fuck the wound. And then the further they get into their career, the more they appeal to the angsty teen kind of hot topic crowd with just the music videos, the grandioseness of it. It all comes off as just very corny. Corey Taylor too, just as a person, in the way that everybody dick rides like anything he has to say in articles, which I guess isn't entirely his fault, but that is sort of adding to the lameness of it. I will say though that Corey as a vocalist, I think, is another one of those people who's really great at having such a venomous delivery that even the cringy lyrics are often fun to go along with. But it's a little bit, I'd say they're a step above Limp Bizkit, which again might be a hot take, but I'm putting them at mid-level cringe. All right, but moving back up again, we have Ice Nine Kills. So everything about this band, in my opinion, is cringe. Like the music videos with all the like real shot-for-shot horror movie comparisons, and I'm a horror movie lover, but I just think it's like a bit much. And then the lyrics, especially for this band, get really bad. And I can think of no better example than Assault and Batteries, their like Chucky remake one. It just encapsulates everything I think about how corny and lame this band can get, especially the best line of all time. I get why it's fun for some, and I can enjoy certain songs, but it's all very childish, so I'm putting them at very cringe. All right, so I alluded to Five Finger Death Punch, and we got to talk about him. Ivan is just a walking cringe machine, and basically every element of this band, from the logo to the band name to the lyrics and videos, is just pure unadulterated cringe. Like, let's not even bury the lead. I'm gonna put them up there while I'm talking. It's full of that like come at me bro energy, but it's just a thin veil for weak ego. And then they try to come off as these brave truth tellers, but it's just as corny as the people that they think that they're clapping back at. I mean, in particular, just listen to the Pride for the full scope of this one. This one interested me. A lot of people requested Machine Head, and I'm not like a deep lover of Machine Head, so it's harder for me to sound off on this one, but I get some of it. Like, especially a lot of people make fun of their new metal era, especially with the look with the crazy hair and everything. Rob Flynn is another one of those characters, kind of like Corey Taylor, who is just like always in the headlines and not always for great reasons. But I did dig up some lyrics, and I thought that I would do something with that. And now a dramatic reading of Do or Die. I don't give a fuck about your stupid little scene, reaction videos, and all your pussy little memes. How many fucking bands I gotta bury say a prayer to Mother Mary? Welcome to the slaughterhouse. I hear your motherfuckers talk to me. I marked your body with some chalk. See, I'm 1 in a billion, a fucking chameleon. We just will be the greatest. You are just the latest in a line of imitators. Step into the Terror Dome. Now, in spite of all that, though, I'm still going to put them at D because I just don't feel like fully qualified to really delve into like the full scope of this. But it's not looking so good, y'all. So they're at least a little cringe. All right, let's go with Atreyu, the worst metalcore band, pretty much, in my opinion. Now gone, one of the worst butt rock bands out there. And they're just, it's just so corny. So corny. Everything about them. Can't really enjoy the songs all that much. They're catchy on some level, but I will just use their own words in describing how I feel anytime I turn them on.
How fucking lame.
Yeah, that's so embarrassing.
Ugh.
Yeah, Atreyu's going to very cringe. All right, Head PE was one that I added, especially as I've been going through my new metal tier lists album by album. Like, I can't even repeat most of the lyrics here. Like, they are just, like, definitely TOS. I will say, though, that I really enjoy the music. Like, I'm really impressed with just how many genres they're able to mash together and do well. But goddamn, the levels of cringe are off the charts when it comes to the lyrics. I'd say Only in America is probably the worst album for this, but not the only one. I mean, it opens Represent with the line, "Yeah, where my dog's at, get your drinks up, your joints up, ladies pull your tits out, come on." Now again though, in spite of that, I have real fun with the music and I think it redeems it somewhat. So I'm putting them at cringe but fun. Alright, Stained. So live performances with the commentary in particular are what's getting them in the news right now, I would say. This once respected band is now like a butt rock conspiracy mouthpiece. And also kind of appealing to middle America in a way that feels very predatory to me, similar to Kid Rock. And then unfortunately the music isn't really good enough to make up for it in any big way, aside from maybe 2 albums. I don't think they're the worst offender on here. There's definitely like musically worse bands on this list too, so I'm putting them at mid-cringe. Alright, another big one here, Motionless in White. So I have similar criticisms here that I have of Ice Nine Kills. In fact, I made an entire video about it that you can check out. Great example of a band approaching politics from a very preteen approach and just in the wrong way, with lines like, "You can't spell virus without us. In the land of the free, you're a slave to the wealth. One mutilation under God." And of course, the entire song, Red, White, and Boom. Not to mention there's a lot of like teen romanticizing of death and then just like overtly lame lines like 1, 2, fuck you. So they're going pretty high. I'm putting them at very cringe. They're not the worst of the worst. I still think they have talent. I still can enjoy some of their songs, but they're up there. All right, another highly requested one that I haven't really thought about that much is Sleep Token. But even if you just read like a snippet from their bio, like that enough is to make you cringe. The members of Sleep Token are a masked, anonymous collective of unknown musicians said to be united in their worship of an ancient deity identified by them as Sleep, who appeared to the band's lead singer Vessel in a dream. Boy, that really reminds me of something.
I just had a vision, and the Lord said he is very angry with me for letting you take those pages.
He is?
Also, another awful fan base that just cannot take criticism. Just ask the Metal Meltdown when he reviewed their last album in a negative light. They worship them like it's a fucking cult. So again, a band I don't know enough about to share, and I could see them rising up very quickly. I'm just putting them at mild cringe for now because of like my lack of awareness, but again, it doesn't look good for them. Okay, so having now listened to more of their music and interacted a lot more than I would have liked to with their Reddit community, I would absolutely graduate this to very cringe at the bare minimum. While I'm at it too, I'd probably move up Machine Head to mid-cringe. Another highly requested one was Attila, a band I've largely ignored also because I just don't like their vibe overall. Like, they're so cringe that even from the outside looking in, like, I can just smell it. Another one, I had to dive into the lyrics, and theirs are particularly terrible, with some great ones like, "I wasn't born and raised a bitch, but you were born to suck my dick. Tits, 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 tits. I feel like I'm going 90 down the highway, butt naked in a pickup, smoking meth during a stick-up like a high-speed chase." Again, I'm not enough in the know to rank them higher, but it kind of reminds me of Head PE on some level, but even worse than that, I'm gonna split the difference, put them at mid-cringe. Alright, Stray from the Path. So another band where I really enjoy their music, especially Anonymous. It's a great fusion of metalcore with like Rage Against the Machine, but once more, the lyrics and particularly infantile yet self-important politics is frankly just embarrassing. In particular, I'm sure even those unfamiliar will remember their 5 minutes of fame with Goodnight Alt-Right.
And appreciate that if you appreciate that expect you just got knocked the fuck out.
What a time that was. I'm putting them at cringe, but ultimately kind of fun. I'm actually going to put them pretty high on that tier, though. And then there was no question who we had to end with here. It is Psycho Sinner / psychosexual. What do I even need to say? Like, this is the definition of pure 100% unfiltered cringe. I don't hate many bands, but damn does Devil Daddy make it really easy to do that. I'm putting them all the way up at the top of pure cringe. A few fans got a little upset when I did my last cringiest metal bands ranking, so let's do it again.
Shut your mouth and bite your tongue, 'cause you don't wanna piss off anyone.
And once again, I'm cringe, you're cringe. Let's just embrace it and laugh together and escape from much more serious topics for at least a few minutes. And notably, most of the bands this time were audience requested. So why not start with a big band in Megadeth? So Dave has his cringy moments for sure, but to me, he just comes off as that kind of like not so PC, wacky uncle who says crazy shit at Thanksgiving dinner, and you just sort of shrug it off. As for the music, I think it's easier to argue that Dave's vocals are bad rather than cringe.
Peace, pieces.
Lyrics are definitely hit and miss, with some particularly bad ones like weakness runs in your family, but what runs in mine is death. The UN is right, you can't be any more than you are right now, the is undone, and basically all of 1,000 times goodbye. But goddamn is the guitar work pretty much always on, and I'd say similar to Metallica on the previous video, maybe a little cringe, but not that bad. Alright, then let's talk about a couple highly requested ones. Let's go with Ailstorm. Alright, so pirate metal. Yeah, you say it out loud and it's definitely corny, but I love all styles of folk metal, and I appreciate music that also just makes me smile in this, again, overly serious world that we live in, so I'm more than happy to throw on some swashbuckling LARPing gear and just blast this stuff.
It's time to have some fun. Through the East Highway.
Cringe, yes, but I have a lot of fun with it, so cringe but fun. Let's do a potentially more divisive one here. So Parkway Drive. Now, I have frequently taken jabs at this band before, but generally not due to cringe, more so because I just find their music to be so overrated and kind of derivative of better bands in the genre.
How dare you!
But now it seems like they have entered into full cringe territory with the new singles, Glitch being a prime example.
I feel a glitch in the cortex, like a ghost in the shell. Cause the devil playing my tricks.
Easily one of the worst things I've heard this year, and just beyond cringe from the lyrics to the delivery. They haven't done enough of this yet to warrant them going higher on the list, but the trajectory isn't looking good, so I'm gonna put them at mid-cringe. Oh, here's a good one. Another highly requested one that I definitely agree with. Let's talk about Man-O-War. Now, we could get into what happened with the former guitarist, but we're talking about cringe, not necessarily literal, depraved, and criminal behavior. But even throwing that out, there is plenty to talk about, and a reason why so many of you probably asked me for their inclusion. Similar notes here as when we talk about Sabaton, which we'll get to, but amplify that by like 10,000 and add a big heaping dose of manly man, shirtless attitude. Which, I mean, props to them for those physiques, and I was gonna make a joke about them getting older, but honestly, they still look pretty good for their age. Once more, though, it's the melodrama, and even more so, the lyrics. Like, I can think of no better example to highlight here, especially, than the song Pleasure Slave, which not only opens with literal orgasm noises, but ultimately is basically about R-wording sexy slave girls that they've taken for their own.
Woman, be my slave.
That's gonna be a fucking yikes from me. Holy shit.
It gets worse. Speaking of which, probably the most highly requested band of all the comments on the previous video, to the point where I was kind of kicking myself for not including them in the first one. We gotta talk about Falling in Reverse, and particularly Ronnie Radke. Now, I'm just gonna address this section directly to Ronnie because he is most definitely the type of person who would watch this. He frequently reacts to content about himself on Twitch. So first of all, Ronnie. To be fair, I think it's easy to start classifying any criticism as just haters when you get as much hate as you do, sometimes unfairly so. But I promise you that this first part at least comes separate from that. The music, it's kind of corny.
Monsters are living under your bed, cause they are the voices in your head.
Credit to where it's due, the songwriting can be quite catchy and you've developed quite a following for a reason, but the lyrics are seriously dorky and often come off as from somebody who is like really struggling with their ego. I don't even disagree with a lot of the points made and the themes of the songs overall regarding like trolls, virtue signaling, etc. I even appreciate that you're willing to entertain perspectives of people across the political divide. It's just the delivery and the execution that just doesn't really work for me. Secondly, and related to the ego piece, you have got to stop responding to haters, especially smaller creators, with threats of violence.
Stop it. Get some help.
Like, I get it, I respond to plenty of hate too, but I try to do so without threats or name-calling even. Better to either embarrass them in some way, or see if you can even win them over if possible, or just give them the ultimate insult by ignoring them entirely. But just for instance, my buddy, the Metal Meltdown, criticized you on TikTok, and you literally threatened him in response. That's mad cringe. Just do better. And you and anyone else I talk about here too are as always welcome to come on the channel to chat it out. My main work is actually in mental health and counseling, so it could be interesting. That said, we're going to pure cringe for Falling in Reverse. Another one that was requested quite a bit and I was interested in was Behemoth. So I was kind of on the fence about this one, but I guess Nurgle definitely does go all in, maybe to a fault as sometimes, especially with the satanic shtick. In particular, I Loved You at Your Darkest crossed a line for me into some truly eye-roll inducing Hot Topic style moments. I think that there are far worse out there, and largely their discography speaks for itself in terms of quality, but yeah, they're not free from cringe. I wouldn't put them pretty high. I think they're just kind of mild cringe. Alright, I already alluded to this, so we might as well talk about Sabaton, and I can get why people find this cringe, like with the arguable romanticization of war to the super melodramatic vocals, but I gotta be honest, I was having more fun with this tier list this year than maybe any other. Like with choruses like this. I am down for that cringe. Like, I'm all in. Call me as cringe as you want. It is cringe, but it is fun. All right, next up, Miss May I was brought up a few times. I really don't have a lot to say about them. I just think they're very corny, paint-by-numbers metalcore, just typical lyrics you'd expect from this style of the genre, especially on songs like You Want Me and Hey Mister. But honestly, I can somewhat get down to the music. It's not something I particularly enjoy, but I don't hate it either. Just could use a little bit more substance in my opinion. So yeah, this one's going to mid-level cringe right alongside their buddies Parkway Drive. All right, another one that's gonna probably ruffle some feathers. Let's talk about Burzum. So a lot of people complained on the previous list that there was not enough black metal representation last time, and that's totally fair. Like, there is so much just about this genre in general that could be criticized in the same way as something like nu metal. But when it came down to thinking about the king of black metal cringe, it had to be Varg. A lot of Burzum fans, again, gonna get bent out of shape with me saying that, but that's really just confirming my point about the type of people that worship this guy to such a cringy degree. I don't even hate Varg, and honestly, I find him to be kind of humorous at times, but his music, outside of Philosophem, which I really enjoy, I've always found to be extremely dull, and more importantly, the dude was and still is the definition of an edgelord. It's just even more sad now coming from somebody moving into his 50s. So yeah, I'm putting Burzum and Varg by extension in very cringe. All right, an interesting one that you could argue how metal they actually are, but let's talk about 30 Seconds to Mars. So number one, more kind of corny Hot Topic style music, which, you know, I shopped plenty at Hot Topic. I still go in the stores sometimes. And also, I just had a great conversation on C Squared Music's channel about how this is exactly the type of stuff that X is a great gateway to new fans. And I will also admit that The Kill still kind of slaps. But again, as is going to be kind of a trend at this level, a lot of this has to do with frontman Jared Leto.
It's morbid time.
I used to really respect this guy as an actor. He's done some phenomenal roles, but ever since I think he won that Academy Award for Dallas Buyers Club, which again, he was fantastic in, what the hell? Like, I'm not going to get into it all here, but the channel Philion did an awesome breakdown of why he seriously sucks as a human being, and it goes way beyond just the cringy, culty stuff. So yeah, 30 Seconds to Mars going to pure cringe. All right, saw a lot of Avenged Sevenfold, and I get it. I also found them kind of not only cringe, but even annoying, even when I was in high school and college. I've never been a big fan of M. Shadow's vocal style or the overall kind of bro vibe that he was sort of giving off at the time. But honestly, what bothered me most of all as a Terry Gilliam fan and overall just fan of film in general was the lame Bat Country videos butchering of Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. Just rubbed me the wrong way. These days I've come to respect their incredible musicianship and ability to grow such, again, a loyal fan base, even if the lyrics and some of the other aspects can be corny. So I'm putting Avenged at mild cringe. Alright, another one, Immure. So 2 words, Frankie Palmieri. Probably one of the most hated on people in the scene, from his look to his behavior and right down to his lyrics. I can see why, even if I've never really paid all that much attention to any of it. And reading over some of the words from his songs isn't exactly a scholarly endeavor. That said, it's hard to not bang your head to this shit. I probably need to dig more into them to form a stronger opinion, but really I'm too busy enjoying Josh Miller's work with Chelsea Grin's Tom Barber on Darko. That said, I'm putting a mirror at cringe but fun. Alright, we can do Black Veil Brides, I guess, another highly requested band, and the reasons are obvious to the point that I feel like they're almost too easy of a target in the same vein as something like Nickelback. Just overly saccharine, melodramatic, kind of dark romantic type of music that clearly appeals to mostly a young female fan base, which, hey, is a solid demographic if you're looking to make some money. That said, the music is lame, not terrible, not unlistenable, just lame and clearly just not made for someone like me, and that's okay. So I'm putting them at mid-cringe. Alright, let's do Hollywood Undead. So another kind of an easy target, I would say. Even as a kid who enjoyed bands with gimmicky looks like Slipknot, Mudvayne, etc., I took one look at these guys even at like 16 and rolled my eyes all the way into the back of my head. And I think that perfectly captures the vibe of their music overall, with such amazingly poetic lyrics as "Bitches, I hope you know, baby come say hello, and get your drunk ass over here, let's bone." These days it seems like they've kind of dropped the look in favor of jumping on kind of the more like Ice Nine Kills train, but the music is still as dorky as ever.
So why is my soul so hungry for a broken heart? Welcome to the city of the dead.
Yeah, I'm putting Hollywood Undead at very cringe. Alright, this one's a little bit personal, but let's talk about Pestilence, and in particular their vocalist, Patrick. So yeah, again, I'm cheating a little bit because as far as the music goes, they're really a solid band. The main issue here, again, is guitarist and vocalist Patrick Mamelli, who has been fronting the band since around 1992. Dude has a lot of questionable social media posting, but worse than that, and similar to what I said to Ronnie, he cannot take criticism and gets seriously butthurt with even the smallest creators online. The breaking point was when Quest for Metal posted his Pestilence album ranking with the clear goal of praising the band's work, and Patrick's response was to repost it with a mocking headline about what Questy had to say about his work. Even fans in the comments thought he was kind of being an idiot, but of course it was Mad Mike who responded with the ultimate takedown, which will have you laughing for days.
However,
I had to do this because if there's one thing I love more than anything in the whole wide world, it's mocking people who take themselves way too seriously, especially after they say shit like this. So thanks for watching, and Patrick, if you ever stumble upon this video, I hope you find it refreshing to hear from someone who actually has no clue. Piss off.
Yeah, so more so Patrick, but Pestilence going to pure cringe. Alright, who should I see here but Ghost? So this came up a lot and also initially surprised me as somebody who actually really enjoys their music, especially the new album. But yeah, the dramatic ongoing storyline and costuming, the vocal deliveries, the poppier songwriting and lyrics. I can particularly see how people who only enjoy the more extreme side of metal would absolutely take a dump on this. But if you ask me personally, Ghost is no more cringe than the likes of Dio, King Diamond, or Alice Cooper. So I'm putting them at mild cringe. Alright, Electric Callboy, formerly Eskimo Callboy, and I mean, talk about embracing the cringe. Like, yeah, they definitely take it to the extreme, and joke bands in general are not for everyone, but personally, I love to laugh, and these guys mostly just crack me up. It's cringe, but it's pretty intentional, very creative, it always puts me in a good mood, and it's also been a great gateway to show even non-metalheads at, like, parties and social gatherings. So I'm putting them at cringe, but fun. Alright, Bring Me the Horizon. So right from the beginning, even the albums that I enjoy from them, like, it's it's questionable. With lyrics like, "Mouth tastes like the corpse of every pregnant teen."
disgusting!
And then newer stuff like Parasite Eve is unquestionably catchy, but still very corny.
With all the key stops and all the key spreads, no other option from that back again.
They've also now gone kind of pop punk, so I actually give them credit too for being creative and always trying new things. It's just that the execution can be kind of hit and miss. So I'm putting them at mid-cringe. Alright, Dope. So consider Dope similar to my thoughts on Head PE on the previous list in that the lyrics range from cringe to absolute dog shit. I went to try and pick some out, but there are so many examples it's hard to choose just one with tracks like Sex Machine, Bitch, and Let's Fuck. This is prime material for edgy 13 to 15-year-olds. The difference is that Head PE have some really diverse and well-performed music to distract from that and make it fun. I actually appreciate Dope's earlier days with the more industrial metal albums like Felons and Revolutionaries, and the riffs can be pretty fun at times, but their lyrics have always been the weakest part, and the music has only matched that corniness more and more as the years have gone by. Yeah, Dope going to very cringe. And then let's talk about Shining. Another case of the vocalist being the biggest issue here, to the point where someone in the Discord described that there are several interviews from a few years ago where he said things along the lines of, "My music is about encouraging people to destroy themselves, to fuck themselves up for the devil." And I thought he really put it perfectly in calling him a very misanthropic edgelord. Pretty par for the course for black metal on some level, but he takes it to a level that goes far beyond edgy and into some pretty darn shitty territory. The music can be good at times, honestly, but the imagery ranges from uncomfortable to downright harmful to the point that I probably can't show clips without at least demonetizing and age restricting the video. Quite frankly, he makes Varg look like Barney the dinosaur.
Just what I'm saying is that sit the fuck down! Sit down! I'm not a dog. No, you're not a dog, you're a... I will show you the devil when he comes up. Give me this and you burn me. When LDR.
Bruh, this hurts so bad. Oh, dude, it's black.
I'm generally against the idea of trigger warnings, but in this case, I think I might actually make an exception. This guy just needs help, and he is going to pure cringe. I just want to start this by saying you keep making these my most successful videos, not me. So by all means, bring on the dreaded ratio and irrational angry comments, because it's time to rank more of the cringiest metal, butt rock, and scene bands as chosen by you.
Let the hate flow through you.
Alright, let's kick things off with something a little bit lower on the scale, Ministry. Now, I really enjoy Ministry, especially the early stuff, but even the best rarely get to the top without having a few cringe moments. I think for me personally, it's Relapse and some of the tracks off of the eye-roll-inducingly titled America Can't that are among the worst, but I think that Iggy Pop Search and Destroy cover is right up there too.
Okay, boomer.
Pretty mild as a whole, cause damn do we have some bigger fish to fry. Next up, let's do Cradle of Filth. Ah yes, here's the over-the-top romantic vampire metal I live for. Music for MySpace goth girls who worship Jonan Vasquez and watch Interview with the Vampire every night. And me, yes, 1,000 times me. There is so much cringe when it comes to this band, from the lyrics to the theatrics, but goddamn, the music is so well composed and the songs just get better and better with all the new albums. Like everyone else who enjoys bands on this list should do, wave your cringe flag high and stop taking yourself so damn seriously.
Captain, my captain.
Cringe, but fun. Alright, let's talk a little bit about Mudvayne. So look, I love LD50, it's one of my all-time favorite nu metal records, but in a way that only makes the later material all the more notably terrible in my book. See my discography tier list for more thoughts on that. Like, admittedly, they were already straddling the line with the spoken word ending of Death Blooms, but things only got way worse after that.
No work and no play makes me a dull boy. No work and no play makes me a dull boy!
Your music's bad and you should feel bad.
Dull Boy is probably the worst offender, but really everything after the first two albums is a pretty marked downhill slide into increasingly lame territory, which is unfortunate to see from a band that actually have a really talented bassist and drummer. So yeah, Mudvayne going to mid-cringe. Moving up a little bit more, let's get Godsmack into the mix. Now, there are certain songs in this band's repertoire that I would consider cringe but fun, like Awake and Voodoo, but by and large, even as an edgy nu metal loving teenager, I always found these guys corny. The lyrics are super lame, and they just ooze this tribal tattoo, fitted affliction t-shirt wearing, and wannabe biker bro energy. I also always found it kind of insulting that they take their name from an Alice in Chains song when these two bands should never be mentioned in the same breath. Very cringe for Godsmack. Alright, but moving into the top tier here, let's talk about OTEP. Now, respect for this being one of the earlier female-fronted metal groups I got into back in the day, but it's no wonder why I still listen to a lot of those groups today, but not this one.
Not quite my tempo.
I can forgive heavy-handed political messaging if the music is at least good, see Stray from the Path on the previous list, but holy Jesus is some of this just embarrassing.
No escapes! Shelter in place! If they gave a case to the gays in the inner way, will pay to dismantle them.
Again, you can have any message you want in your music, but as musicians, I expect you to at least put a little craft into it instead of just lazily restating old platitudes. OTEP going to pure cringe level.
I award you no points, and may God have mercy on your soul.
Alright, a band here that was highly requested. Let's talk about Nightwish. So this has consistently been one of the top voted bands, but honestly, aside from the general criticisms of symphonic metal being kind of corny in general, I honestly think it's the hardcore fan base that's way more cringe than the music. But yeah, I get it, I just think it's pretty low on this particular list, because trust me, it only gets worse.
We have such sights to show you.
Time for a little bit more new metal here with Cold Chamber. So I still low-key kind of love all of their albums, but let's face it, the debut in particular has not aged well. A lot of people point to the Peter Gabriel Shock the Monkey cover with Ozzy as the cringiest moment, but for me, it's easily a Mirror of the Desert. Different times. Mostly though, the chugging grooves and catchy choruses make up for it enough for me to have a good time, but I'd have to be delusional to not accept the cringe that comes with this band. I'm putting them at cringe, but fun. Alright, another one that was interestingly voted quite a few times, we got Kiss. So respect where it's due on some level, because obviously Kiss have achieved legendary status in rock and roll. And as always, I'm not saying you can't enjoy their music. Like, Detroit Rock City is a banger, and I love hearing God Gave Rock and Roll to You at the end of Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey, but they are undoubtedly cringe.
I wanna give it all to you.
Like, of course, given my own corny trademark look, I can't really pass full judgment on their costumes, but from a lot of the deeper cuts to Gene Simmons' overall attitude, we can put that aside and still see the writing on the wall. I'm putting them at mid-cringe. Alright, time to talk about Bad Wolves. I'd actually managed to block these guys out of my brain, but the Metal Meltdown unfortunately reminded me that they exist on the Discord. It's bad enough that a lot of their songs are already like C-string Nickelback songs, but I think the moment that genuinely upset me the most was their cover of the Cranberries' Zombie. They took a beautiful song that genuinely brings me close to tears every time I hear it and turned it into a butt rock monstrosity.
Look how they massacred my boy.
Very cringe. Keeping the butt rock train rolling, let's bring in Skillet. Another highly requested band in the comments of previous installments, and another band more accurately described again as butt rock than metal. Honestly, I can appreciate butt rock for what it is, considering it was at its peak when I was in high school. But seeing where some of these bands are now is downright painful, many of them falling in line with that kind of Imagine Dragons core sound.
Shot like a rocket up into the sky. Nothing can stop me tonight. You make me feel invincible.
Mad Mike once again with the best memes for this band.
Might go down as the greatest music video work since Hulk Hogan's video for Real American.
Skillet going to pure cringe. All right, another interesting vote, and the only death metal band I believe on the list this time, we have Deicide. So I saw quite a few votes for this, but I don't really have much to say about them beyond what I've already said about try-hard satanic lyrics not being nearly as effective as they used to be. And there's nothing more try-hard than burning an inverted cross into your forehead. And to quote Mad Mike again, Glenn's a Florida man, so there's that. Deicide going to mild cringe. Alright, a little bit more metalcore here with Bleeding Through. I talk a lot of shit in general about tough guy lyrics, but despite that, I'm not immune to having some guilty pleasures in that realm. And with muscle-bound frontman Brandon and edgy samples from the Boondock Saints, I can think of few better examples than Bleeding Through.
And I'll fight you with every ounce of strength I have left. And I'll fill with a bullet and a kiss.
I've always found them to be one of the cornier, earlier metalcore acts with the melodramatic, chaotic relationship kind of lyrics. But for whatever reason, I still love it, and it's the perfect music for the gym.
Fucking protein! Where's the goddamn protein, Mom? Told you to get me some protein! Fuck!
Bleeding through, going to cringe, but fun. Alright, one of the kind of sort of newer bands on this list, we have Sumo Psycho. I saw some requests for this one too, but I also know plenty of people like Mad Mike who really enjoy them. Personally, there are aspects of the music that I feel like I want to like, but every time I listen, it just comes off as a much more try-hard metal version of No Doubt. I appreciate the kind of protest the hero vibes in the guitar work and the overall musicianship, but the over-enunciation of every syllable in the vocal performance just annoys me to no end.
Goodbye, conscience, goodbye. I didn't like my guide.
Sumo Psycho hitting mid-cringe. Alright, so I've been seeing a few people talking about King 810. I'm almost afraid to talk about this band for various reasons, but they are very well known for their violent shows and some gang-related imagery. That's not the worst thing for a metal band in and of itself, but I can understand why they've been requested a lot as well.
I sound like this because the devil has my throat. I make your insides shift.
Notably, the very by-the-numbers tough guy lyrics are pretty corny, although I guess you could argue that for better or worse, at least they aren't all talk. Still gonna put them at very cringe. Please don't hurt me. Back to the top, it's time to talk about him.
So bright up here.
Yeah, another band that's not really metal at all, but have been highly requested. I only really became aware of these guys through Viva La Bam, and man, I wish I hadn't. Supremely corny, sad boy music for teenage girls to swoon over.
Why are you wasting your time saying all of these mean things when we're just doing what we like and expressing ourselves and what we have that's deep within us that some people, most people, don't understand?
The music could be way worse, but even considering there are other bands that do this better, I don't understand the appeal at all. I'm putting them at pure cringe. Alright, and for our final run up the charts, let's start with Pantera. I know even including them on this list is going to trigger some people out there, and that alone could kind of prove my point. But to keep it simple, I'll just say good friends and a bottle of pills.
I fucked your girlfriend last night while you snorted drool. I fucked your love.
I've had valid arguments for putting this band at almost every level of this list based on some of their imagery and the antics of Phil Anselmo, but ultimately they were supplanted by too many things that made me visibly wince, so they actually only ended up at mild cringe. Alright, time to talk about baby metal. I can already see the comments now. Insert my favorite band on this list is more cringe than baby metal? Yes. Yes, they are. Like, say what you want about the understandable level of cringe that comes with basically combining metal and weeb culture, but come on, this is just hilariously fun to me in the same way as Electric Callboy. I will say the difference is that baby metal feels like a much more calculated corporate entity, but as far as the music goes, I can't understand why people get legit mad about this band. Or any band, for that matter. This is what I imagine the voices in Belle Delphine's head sound like. And they are going to cringe, but fun. Back to some new metal, we have Disturbed. Another band I never got into during my new metal phase. I actually respect David for having a pretty solid voice and using it in interesting ways that make their songs stand out, but the songs are pretty hit and miss overall. I actually enjoyed some of their new album, and both Indestructible and Asylum are maybe their best. Another tier list you can check out, by the way. But especially with Immortalized and Evolution, the cringe meter really starts to go off the charts with the terrible acoustic songs. Not to mention another cover we absolutely did not need and seems to miss the point of the minimalist nature of the original entirely. Yeah, Disturbed going to mid-cringe. A little bit more metalcore here with I Prevail. Regular viewers know I actually listen to and enjoy quite a bit of metalcore, but these guys have just never really done it for me. I consider them to be doing just more of the same, but like 5 to 10 years late to the party. But I try to keep an open mind, so I circled back this year and...
There's a million fucking reasons that you got it bad. When everybody's sleeping in a body bag, go!
Yeah, no. New rule, if someone's already tweeted it, especially as some sort of hashtag, don't make it a line in your song. I'm putting them at very cringe. And then easily the cringiest band on this entire list, we've got Blood on the Dance Floor.
How embarrassing.
What do I even need to say about this one? I can't think of a single redeeming quality of this band. They can't sing, the lyrics are gross, the singer is allegedly really gross.
That's gonna be a fucking yikes from me, holy shit.
And it's just all the worst parts of scene culture coming together for a singularity of cringe. It's basically Is Anyone Up, the band, and it's literally caused harm to some of their underage fans as a result. I'm putting them all the way at the top of pure cringe. Y'all check out this playlist if you missed the other parts of this series, or if you're like, oh, you hate everything, check out this playlist for all these albums that I love and recommend constantly. And of course, let me know your other recommendations down in the comments, but that'll do it for now. Flight of Icarus signing off. I will see you in the trenches.